Hello and welcome to the Guardian Football Weekly. Can anyone stop England? Probably, but they are in the last 16. Harry Kane, the eventual hero, the first aheader, the second a quite brilliant strike to turn things around after a simply heroic defensive performance from DR Congo. They scored early, England's defence all over the place before the Congo keeper kept everything out. It was starting to look bleak before Tuchel made changes and Kane was the difference. Now to the altitude of Mexico, get those decoy hotel rooms ready. Also today, who doesn't love watching Poch sing John Denver? In the end, a pretty comfortable 2-0 win for the US over Bosnia and Herzegovina. Balogun was the main character, scored, hit the bar, had one disallowed and was sent off. You expected Bosnia to push on, but they didn't really. And then Malik Tillman scored a great free kick to set up a last 16 game with Belgium. An extraordinary comeback for them against Senegal. 2-0 down, they'd done virtually nothing until Lukaku and Tillman in the last 5 minutes, and at the end of extra time, a VAR penalty. Bade Sis lying on the penalty spot. Tillman's had to wait an hour before caressing it into the top corner. Also, he might have gone 2 days ago, but there's more Mark Langdon vegetable correspondence. We'll take your questions, and that's today's Guardian Football Weekly. On the panel today with me in LA, Barry Glendenning. Hello.
Hello, Max.
Welcome, Archie, Rhind-Tutt.
Hey, Max.
And also in LA, but another part of LA because it's quite big, Osasu, Obayiuwana. Hey, Osasu, you okay?
No, I'm not okay. I'm furious. Absolutely furious. And I'm trying to be polite and not use industrial language.
You can use industrial language if you like. Yes, your search for excellence continues. But, God, they were close, DR Congo. Let's start with England's 2-1 win over DR Congo. We were wondering how to start this pod if England had lost. Could we get away with 20 minutes on Oliver Glasner to Forest? So the first game England have won at a World Cup when conceding first since the final in 66. I will go to the other England fan here, Archie. That was absolutely exhausting.
Very. The first half started to feel like Lionel Mpasi against England, especially when I think it was the final moment of the half where Harry Kane drilled it at him, and you were just thinking that Lionel Mpasi is managing to show a different kind of save each time he's making one. And there was a part of me that was thinking, are England doing enough here? And in retrospect now, I'm happy with the amount of chances that were created, but at the time it felt like England could be doing more. Harry Kane is everything for England, and I still don't think he's necessarily had the respect that he deserves.
Is he underrated? Is that
in the
past?
conversation? Not quite, but that second goal is exceptional, and the sort of thing that I've seen people in Germany throughout the last few seasons go, this guy is world class. But there were so many concerning things before that, from how easy the DR Congo goal was, how they didn't really have to work at all to get into such a promising position. The wingers, again, for the most part, the quality of the crossing I thought was pretty disappointing. Not enough movement to create space. And boy, did we get away with one when Johan Visser managed to hit the post from that promising moment just before half-time. And Barry did use very industrial language at that moment.
Excuse the industrial language, Osasu, but there was a very loud "fuck it" from across the room. How are you, Baz?
I'm all right. Look, if Wissa scores that, who knows what kind of conversation we're having now? And he should have scored it, but he didn't. And as loath as I am to acknowledge the fact that football at this World Cup anyway is a game of quarters, this was very much a game of 4 quarters, because England were absolutely dreadful in the first one, excellent in the second one, and were denied by the heroics of Mpasi and the uselessness of Wissa. Then they were terrible again in the third quarter and very good in the final one, which is more or less when Tuchel's substitutes came into their own. As they came on for Jed Spence, who had a game to forget. Declan Rice moved to right back. Will he stay there? Who knows? And Anthony Gordon was on, and he had an impact on the game. So England, I think, probably on balance of chances created, deserved to win it, but they were shocking at points during that game. And I think a more confident and more elite team than DR Congo would have been well ahead by the time that third quarter started.
Yeah, Harry Kane has more World Cup goals than Pelé now. Gert Muller's next. He's got 13, Pelé 12, Muller's on 14. On 5 for the tournament, so one behind Messi in the Golden Boot race. His season tally for club and country is 72 goals. So if I can, Osasu, before we get on to DR Congo, talk about Kane, and especially the second goal, like the touch to create the space is so good, isn't it?
Well, I was just thinking, what are the headlines in the newspapers in England? Captain Marvel to the rescue. Captain Marvel does it again. Captain Fantastic gets England out of trouble. As you all have said, I think without Harry Kane, I cannot imagine the position England will be in right now. He has shown strength of character, leadership, and some high-quality football to boot. It is very clear that if England are going to go further in this competition, his form and his leadership will be critical in that.
You are, your search for excellence means you're in a bad mood, Osasu, but it was I don't know, maybe you don't think it was. I thought it was a brilliant performance from DR Congo. Like, we've mentioned the keeper and Passy, but you know, we've all seen like Wan-Bissaka, Tuanzebe, Chancellor Mbemba not play like that before. And I just thought they defensively were brilliant. I thought their wingers were great. I thought they gave in just a brilliant account of themselves.
Well, I'm sorry, Max. I am not in the business of, what a good effort they have put in.
Well, I'm an England fan, so I have to be eventually. I know every tournament.
No,
You are when you're talking about Scotland.
I am of the school that you are in games to win. And when you're in a position to win, as DR Congo clearly were in today, only to lose the game, I mean, Wissa will regret that miss for the rest of his days. Because I don't know when next DR Congo will be at a World Cup. They haven't been at a World Cup since 1974. You're in a unique position to get DRC to a place they have never been before, and then you miss a chance like that. I'm sorry, for me it's unpardonable. As for the goalkeeper, it was ironic that he was brilliant for the whole game.
Yeah.
And then he bungled the save that should have stopped Kane from scoring. But, football is like that.
Yeah. So do you think then that, like, because there'll be a lot of coverage in the UK, which is, poor old DR Congo, they did really well. Do you think that is sort of patronising? Because I watching this game thinking...
For me it is.
Yeah, okay.
For me it is because, look, Max, in 1990, Cameroon should have beaten England, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They had the game in hand. They should have won the game. And I spoke to Gary Lineker about that game many years afterwards. And he was very honest with me that if they didn't get those 2 penalties, they had no chance in hell of winning that game.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had these type of instances for African teams so many damn times. And I am frankly fed up of it now. I mean, we haven't even begun to talk about the Senegal.
I was
Belgium.
about to say, I'm looking forward to that bit.
I am just as sick as a parrot today. I just couldn't be bothered to watch the USA Bosnia game. You guys are the ones who will talk about it because I didn't watch it because I was so annoyed. I just switched off.
I thought Barry would be the saddest of the panelists. I mean, Archie, we should talk about England a bit more. Like, I don't know. The biggest worry for me seems to be at the back. You've alluded to it already, that how open, and I don't think that's all on Spence, right? He's got to cover the centre-backs who may be covering something else. I don't know whose fault it is, but positionally, they have looked open in all their games at times. And it sort of came home to roost in that moment.
You'd pick out 3 players there, not just excluding Spence even. Thinking about pressure needing to be applied to the ball in the first place. Noni Madueke being in a better position to support him, but also Jordan Pickford from that angle, I think you would expect him to save it. So it is concerning. It is. Whilst DR Congo did look dangerous, it was a similar kind of opponent, I thought, to what England have faced since Croatia. and Mexico will be different again as well. The problem that I have is actually what the buy-in will be like from the players from Thomas Tuchel right now, when I've seen this before with him happen at Dortmund, at Bayern, and what happens is that he absolutely shreds his players to pieces on the touchline for instructions that look pretty simple to you and me. There was a moment in the first game, which German TV picked up on actually, where Elliot Anderson plays a lofted ball out to the touchline, and he's fuming because he's saying it should go on the floor. And you think, is that important? And I think that as a coach,
you're saying don't sweat the small stuff, Thomas. Is that your?
I'm saying that I think as a coach you have to pick and choose your moments, because players are quite sensitive these days.
As a coach, he knows that games are won or lost by paying attention to the smallest of details. And he would feel that if the players don't pay attention to the small details early, when it really matters and they don't, it's going to cost them. I mean, everyone knows that Thomas Tuchel is a perfectionist and he does not tolerate sloppiness in his players. And I'm sure the players know that too. So they just have to realize that they have to step up to the plate and do the business if they want to be, in his good books.
Yeah. In terms of attacking, Barry, it seems very much get it wide, get it in. 43 crosses today. Is that enough? Like, eventually, if you get that many crosses in, some will just hit the head. They're not all perfectly accurate. I think Archie, you were making the point during the game that if you don't have Saka or James down the right, the crossing quality is less with Madueke and Spence. But do you think that is a good enough tactic to go far in this tournament?
It's been good enough so far, and the quality of crossing has often been terrible. England in this tournament they keep doing enough, and if they keep doing enough, they will win. Yeah. But I suspect at some point they are going to get punished for their lack of quality. I mean, getting the ball wide and sending in crosses, I'm fairly confident I could coach an elite team to tell them to do that. But I suppose if Thomas Tuchel gives the same instructions, he's some tactical savant or genius.
Are you less of a perfectionist than Thomas Tuchel?
Depends.
Yeah, it does. Depends if it's Coke bottles or football taxes. What did you make of the penalty shout for England, Osasu, and the fact it wasn't given?
Well, some penalties are given and some not. Don't forget that in the game against Ghana should have been given a penalty as well, and England got away with it.
Agreed,
you can't complain when it works for you and then start to moan when it doesn't work for you.
I didn't. Just to be clear, I didn't. Osasu,
you did this morning.
I did this morning. Yeah. We were losing. It's different.
I think with that penalty shout, it very much depends on whether you want it to be given or not.
Yeah.
Your opinion on whether it should be given or not. I'm inclined to think it shouldn't have been, because Harry Kane...
Because you didn't want it to be given.
A, because I didn't want it to be given, and B, because I feel Harry Kane was very much looking for it. But yeah, there was a little bit of contact, but he was already halfway to ground by the time that contact was made by the goalkeeper. But ultimately it didn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched it. The more I've watched it, the less I think it's a penalty. But the more I've watched it, the more I'm certain that England will win this game, because it finished a long time ago. I caught up with Jacob Steinberg after the game. He'd just been listening to Thomas Tuchel. This was our chat. You've been at the game and you've just heard from Thomas Tuchel. How was he after that?
Pretty positive from Thomas Tuchel after the game. Really proud of he said the way that the team didn't panic. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case during the first 20, 25 minutes when it looked really panicky after that early goal from the DRC. But I think, he was pleased with the way that they didn't seem to lose their heads as the longer the game went on. They stuck, he thought, to the plan, refused to accept defeat, and in the end found a way through. I've got in my own head, remember looking at the big screen on 73 minutes, thinking it's still 1-0. England haven't done anything for a while. They actually might lose this. And then 2 minutes later, Harry Kane popped up with that goal. So yeah, it's been a very interesting afternoon, a wild game, and probably on the balance of chances deserved to go through, but the performance was really worrying.
Tuchel wasn't panicking. Were the crowd panicking? What were the England fans like in the stadium?
No, because I think again you've got that mix potentially of not entirely being a classic England crowd. I think that the boos were largely at times for the hydration breaks. There were definitely boos for Rashford when I think more or less with his final act he put across with his left foot miles over the goal and went out for a goal kick, and that was pretty bad. But generally speaking, they kind of stayed with them. I think that they're probably being followed at the moment by a slightly different type of crowd than the one that maybe they would have experienced in Germany 2 years ago.
And were you panicking? Tuchel wasn't, the crowd weren't. I was. Were you?
Definitely during the first 20, 25 minutes. I mean, nothing at all went right. Everything was bad. Tuchel talked about afterwards about how they actually got the press wrong, England, and that it meant that DRC were able to play through them really easily. I think, again, it's another one where I think a bit like Panama, they expected it to be a low block, but then especially with the slight formation change from DRC as well, where they dropped a striker and brought in a midfielder. I think they were expecting it to be a similar game to Ghana. Instead, they just took it to England, and the goal, even though it was only after 7 minutes, wasn't really a surprise when it came. And I thought England were a real mess in terms of the shape. I know there's going to be a lot of focus on Jed Spence, but I think it's more than just him who was pulled out of position. Konsa and I think Anderson potentially as well. Someone lets Siddiqui run through and pull Spence out of position, and then eventually there's a free shot on the left. And from there, you're looking at Pickford sending long clearances out of play and then frantically telling everybody else to calm down. That bizarre period where England pass the ball around their own area, and you're thinking, oh my God, this is going to end with them giving the ball away for a goal. And that sequence, I think, ends with Bellingham losing possession with an overhit pass, and then he gets the booking, which is something that I realised that he did when they were losing to Slovakia in the first half 2 years ago in the last 16. Similar kind of atmosphere that day to this one, and he was the one I think as well who was really needed his head to sort of be put back into it. And there's that interesting image of Reece James during that first hydration break. Who knows exactly what's going on there, but it seemed like Reece was trying to get Jude to calm down a bit and focus. But it's a very strange game because obviously they had the chance where Wissa hits the post, I think because Rashford doesn't track back and O'Reilly's completely overrun by Wan-Bissaka, outnumbered. But then equally, by half-time, England could have been winning. I mean, I thought it was a penalty on Harry Kane. The goalkeeper was sensational, made so many saves. And you're thinking at half-time, England they're going to score at some point. They're actually, the crosses, some of them are a bit off beam, but some of them are finding their men. And they're not actually defending that well. They are allowing a lot of free headers and close-range chances. And then that period between sort of 50 minutes, 70 minutes until the second hydration break where Tuchel makes the second rejigs. I thought England just drifted and nothing was really happening. And it just seemed like it was getting away from him. And that it felt to me like there was panic there. It just felt like they didn't really know exactly what it was they were meant to do. But that second hydration break, I don't think he said that he didn't say anything too revelatory to them. It didn't need to do any major tactical tweaks. He said he felt the players weren't panicking. He didn't feel like the shirt was weighing heavily or anything like that. But it's just I suppose that elite tactical moment from Tuchel where he does make that little shift where he gets Eze on for Spence, moves Rice to right back, and it's just that little Arsenal combination for a few minutes that eventually gets them in down the right. And another one of the substitutes, or in the England parlance now, where they're the finishers, these guys who come on. Anthony Gordon, quite importantly, given that he didn't play very well in his other two starts, comes up with the assist, and then again for Harry Kane. And Kane, obviously, he'd had a few chances. I mean, he's just incredible, isn't he? Afterwards, Tuchel was asked, what is it that sets Kane, Messi, Mbappe and Haaland apart? And he just sort of leant into the microphone and growled, "They are all sharks. They are all sharks." When he really liked delivering that line. When there's blood in the water, he said they smell it and they score, basically. And that's what it is with Kane. I mean, 5 goals now already. So much is dependent on him and Bellingham at the moment, as we saw against Panama. But I mean, going into the game on Sunday, it feels at the moment, just based on what we saw in the first 20-25 minutes and across a few of the other games, it feels like a tall order in the altitude at the Azteca.
Yeah. Are you ready for the altitude, Jacob? How did journalists acclimatise for this?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because England are going to have to go on Friday. They're not going to have a lot of time to prepare for it. It's going to be a complete. I don't know. I assume it's going to be a complete shock to the system. We're going to go on Saturday, so I don't know if we'll be sitting there. I mean, Jonathan Wilson's enjoyed his experiences at the Azteca, so I'll get some tips from him and see how to adapt.
Yeah, our next piece will be just you complaining about the Wi-Fi. Enjoy the Azteca. We'll chat after.
Yeah, thank you.
Mexico in the round of 16. Harry Kane said, "My understanding is we cannot adapt to the altitude. It's a huge advantage Mexico have. There's not enough time. We knew that before. It's just a disadvantage with which we'll have to deal. But we showed the attitude. The decoy hotels, Barry. This is what we need to do. You know, the altitude, there's nothing they can do. You know."
So they have attitude. Yeah. They can. Yeah, attitude isn't a problem. Altitude might.
Yeah. I was thinking, could you send some players early? I mean, Dan Burn has to acclimatise even more than the rest of the squad, doesn't he?
Yeah, but how early can it be? Because normally you need about 12 days to really adjust to altitude.
Yeah, I don't think we have that to acclimatise.
Yeah, so
also,
they just have to deal with it the way it is.
Yeah.
Also, I think if Mexican fans catch wind that England are coming earlier, they will just get even less sleep in between as well.
That is true. And a 1 a.m. kickoff in the UK. So, like all my friends back home, I'm sure everyone in the UK listening to that, do you nap first? What do you do? Now, as somebody who watches a lot of games at stupid hours of the day, I'd say if you're under 30, maybe you can see it through. But, you know, if you're middle-aged, go to bed, get up at 12:55 and watch the game. Or phones off, up at 5, watch it without any social media. They would be my suggestions for how to deal with a 1 a.m. kickoff.
No, go to the pub, power through advice.
For me? Have you seen me? Do you know me?
Oh, yes.
yeah, of course you do. Worth talking about the social content we put up. Archie, you were superstitious.
Plan A was sit on the sofa normally and watch the game like we did for England-Ghana. Yep. However, England didn't score in those 90 minutes, and that was already fostering a problem for me. Plan B was go get the England shirt I have. Maybe the presence of that would bring something. And then when we reached 70 minutes, I said, look, we need to go full nuclear. I think I'm the problem here. Took myself off to the bedroom, and suddenly...
Well, you watched it on German TV, which was 30 seconds ahead, so our reactions are natural that you got of us. I did put a camera in your face, Barry, at full time. I got a great fuck off, which got more views than pretty much anything else we've put up. Beard of James says, can you hang reels in the Louvre? Then there was the fall in the pool, which we did, the Selling Sunset pool. Greg Jenner said, hey, Greg, I hope Barry did a risk assessment for this stunt. We know the insurance rules of this hotel. Sally says, does this count as one of the twice-a-year hair washes? Jake, while he's in there, can we get Barry to replicate the Nirvana cover? I mean, that is that is taking it a step too far. Anyway, that will do for part one. Part two, we'll talk about the USA win over Bosnia and Herzegovina, so Osasu can cool down before taking a long run for the Senegal game. Welcome to part two of the Guardian Football Weekly. So we've just seen the USA beat Bosnia and Herzegovina 2-0. And I guess that moment when they're down to 10 men, they're under pressure, even though not that much pressure. Bosnia didn't really do much. As Malik Tillman stood over that free kick, I said, there's nowhere to score it. I was wrong, Archie. You've seen more of him than most of us.
Yeah, he became Leverkusen's record signing for 35 million euros last summer. And he was a product of the Bayern Academy. That didn't work out for him there. Went to Rangers. Was okay, went to PSV, was a lot better, and then he earned this move to Leverkusen where he's shown that he has something, but not enough for people there. And the most impressive Leverkusen attacker at this World Cup, I would say, is actually Ibrahim Maza, who we'll see later this week. And his satisfaction with life at Leverkusen was questioned when he did the old deleting all my Leverkusen Insta posts. And I think it showed that he can be quite a sensitive guy. So for him to have this moment, having scored a few goals for the US before, but not many, this is a I'm him moment. This, I think, can be a real platform for Malik Tillman. And I'm reminded of a quote from Peter Bosz, his old coach at PSV, who says, please be patient with him, show him love and talk to him because this lad is such a brilliant footballer. And for him to step up in that moment when the US haven't really had to face that much adversity yet in this tournament. They've had it nice when scoring early in their first 2 group games, for example. And if he doesn't put that in, even though Bosnia looked very blunt throughout this game, who knows what happens? So let's see what this can do for Malik Tillman, but probably the best moment of his career to date.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very soft free kick. We didn't see the Bosnian manager with his double-breasted suit and trainers on getting angry at that free kick. We saw him getting very angry about a minute before when Anthony Robinson took one of the Bosnians down. I mean, it's a great win for them. And I thought they were so superior in this game. Pretty much all of it, Barry.
Yeah, I expected them to win this easily, and they did. Even when they were down to 10 men, Bosnia offered very little. And USA were totally superior throughout the first half. Had a goal disallowed, scored one, almost scored a second. And yeah, Bosnia aren't very good.
No.
They're just not.
No.
They did well to qualify. Got through, is it 2 or 3 penalty shootouts? But they've shown very little in this tournament, and up against home team that has a massive crowd behind them, I expected little, and they didn't surprise me at all.
I mean, Balogun was the sort of central character of this. You know, he's clearly a really important player for them. Interesting to see what they do now he's suspended. He scored, had that one disallowed, hit the bar. The red card feels so unlucky. And I know we say intent doesn't matter, and when you hear Kokom's going, he didn't mean it, you think, it doesn't matter, he didn't mean it, but he didn't mean it. And I sort of feel like he shouldn't get a red for that, but maybe I don't actually know if I'm right or not.
The biggest difficulty with it is that we've seen similar incidents at this World Cup which have gone unpunished, including Lionel Messi against Algeria.
And unnoticed, that one.
So that's where problems arise. Lars made a good point as well by looking at the VAR protocol, which I'm glad someone did.
Yeah,
where he was saying that in general, slow motion replays should only be used for facts, i.e. position of offence, point of contact for physical offences, ball out of play. And that doesn't seem to be what was happening here. Also, it felt like that battle between Muharimovic and Balogun was playing out, and Muharimovic was losing that heavily despite his attempts to rattle Balogun at every turn. Balogun has had a real ups and downs at Monaco. He finished the season, or part of his end to the season was with scoring in 8 consecutive games, and he's got this reputation of sometimes being the striker who scores when you don't expect him to, but the more difficult chances he takes. And the thing is, for the US so far, he's been excellent, and the confidence that he's shown. So it will be Ricardo Pepi that we would expect.
He looked pretty good when it came on.
To come on, yes.
Okay.
I don't have as much confidence in him as Balogun, given how things are going. But the environment of this US team right now, players are finding levels that they've not been able to find at their clubs before.
I think the team looks really balanced. I thought there were some really good performances, and I thought Pulisic, I was really impressed with him today, because he's probably still not 100% fit either.
There was consistent talk on commentary about he looks like he's wearing here quite fast, and I think particularly the pressure that he's been carrying into this World Cup cannot be underestimated, also because he didn't come off a particularly good domestic season so far. I think you can go through that US team and pick out so many players. I think of Tyler Adams as well, who had that great flick which made the first goal. He's stepped up his performances.
Yeah, McKennie has.
McKennie as well. Tim Ream, who I love because of his Fulham days. And there was always this doubt in my mind of surely teams are going to be able to get behind him, but that hasn't really borne fruit yet. So for Mauricio Pochettino, there was a lot of bad press coming into this World Cup and lots of doubts, as there often are before for a host nation. We've seen that quite a lot, but I don't think we'd seen this US team hit those levels. And it helps also when different characters in the team are stepping up. Someone like Malik Tillman as well, that can help give a team a certain energy.
Yeah, I mean, I hope Pulisic is fit for the sake of our friend Jenny Taft, who has to follow his calf around, the whole time.
An injury doubt is better TV, Max.
Well, I don't know. I think let her do something else. She does an incredible job considering. And who doesn't love watching Poch singing Country Road? I mean, that was just I really enjoyed that.
He's just having a ball,
isn't
he?
Yeah.
He's earning a fortune. Everyone loves him over here.
It's like you.
And he's just he's a good bloke. Or he seemed largely a good bloke until he starts cozying up to a certain president.
Yeah. Oh, well. Hey, Osasu, you ready for your Senegal? Deep breath. Okay, we'll be back in part 3 with that. Welcome to part 3 of the Guardian Football Weekly. So Belgium 3, Senegal 2. Asasu, over to you.
Well, what can I say? You have a game in hand. You're 2-0 up. You have 3 minutes left. And you concede goals in the 86th and the 89th minute. And then you go on to concede a penalty in extra time and lose the game. So I'm lost for words, really.
I don't believe that for a second.
No, trust me. I am, because there is just no excuse tenable for this mess that they have created. It's unacceptable. The manager knows that he made a huge mistake by making those late substitutions. There were no need for those substitutions. He should have just kept the team the way it was. It was working. You had the game in hand. You changed players, and then you changed the shape of the team and gave Belgium the opportunity. You gave Lukaku and Tillman the opportunity to do what they did. So there's not too much to say other than to really just express how disappointed I am with the tactical ineptitude that is responsible for a needless loss.
Do you think they went too deep? Because they played so well. Like, they were in such control, I agree with you. And, like, no one could see this coming. Like, you just couldn't see this comeback coming at all. Do you think the changes, they just went too deep or what?
Yeah, but you could see that, yes, it gave Belgium the impetus to push when you should have kept the team the way it was, because for the latter part of the game, or for better part of the game, Belgium seemed quite confused, and they were even arguing amongst themselves at a point, which was working quite well for Senegal to see that your opponent, had their players arguing. And then you now hand them a lifeline, and basically you snatched defeat out of the jaws of victory. It's crazy. It's crazy.
The penalty, Barry, I thought it was a penalty. You're not so sure?
No, I don't think it was. I think it was an incredibly harsh decision. And I think the fact that VAR were obviously not certain, and the ref clearly wasn't certain because he didn't give it in the first place, suggests that it shouldn't have been given if there was so much uncertainty surrounding. I don't think Camara fouled Tielemans. I think Tielemans just planted his foot in front of him. Neither of them won the ball. But the decision was given. The referee re-refereed something that wasn't a clear and obvious error. So I think Senegal have every right to feel aggrieved for the second time in
No, but Senegal have...
tournaments.
Sorry, Barry, to interrupt you. Senegal have no right to be aggrieved because they were 2-0 up and the game should have been shut down and they should have finished it in regulation time. I mean, they just have no excuse for this. Yes, okay, I agree that the penalty was harsh, okay? But if you'd closed down the game as you should have, then there would have been no need for any of this.
Yeah, I agree.
So they
I agree with
no
that.
one but themselves to blame, no one else. Not the referee, No one else. They are solely to blame.
It is worth pointing out, after the penalty is given, the shithouser of the highest order, from I hope I pronounce it correctly, Pathés, to lie on the penalty spot for, I mean, I don't know if it was 5 minutes. Absolutely sensational. To have the balls, to have the gall to do that, to go, this is where I'm going to lie, right on there. And the ref is ushering other players away. The elephant in the room is the guy lying on the penalty spot.
I think it's easier to do that when he's not having to make eye contact with anyone.
No, that's true.
So he's just kind of making himself into
He's doing-
some sort of tortoise.
What's that cat position?
just-
What's the yoga one when you're, it's that one. Child's pose.
Child's pose.
There we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's annoyed me more than
No, that's okay.
that says anything. Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
I think we should mention because
Has had more minutes at this World Cup than for Napoli this season.
yes,
Is that the point you were going to make?
that was part of the point I was
Okay,
going to
fine.
make.
Carry on, I'll be quiet.
Given that, he had a very serious thigh injury, thought he could come back, wasn't able to, and then had to rely on Rudy Garcia taking this gamble on him. So his presence in the box started to cause that chaos. It was a bad goalkeeping mistake as well for that second goal. And I just also want to raise comments from Rudy Garcia, who said after this game of Senegal, we know these teams, they lose their tactical structure towards the end of the match. We also knew that at 2-0, they would do everything to protect their goal, which is a serious mistake. Remind me when we're 2-0 up not to do that. I think Rudy Garcia is... It's a bit far. It's a bit much, particularly when, look, his substitutions, which at the time you would have said, I understood taking off Kevin De Bruyne, but Jeremy Doku seemed like a very interesting one. But if they lose this game, which in 99 times out of 100 they should, then he's losing his job here. This strikes me as a guy who struck it lucky.
Yeah.
And was trying to make the most of it.
That's a lot. I mean, Tuchel could have gone today, it's...
I think that Belgium were luckier than England.
Maybe. Yes, Osasu?
No, I was going to say, I may not like what Rudy Garcia said, but what he said is just the unvarnished truth. And sometimes the unvarnished truth can be a bit painful, because what we have seen from the majority of the African teams at this tournament, at this stage, is that they do not control games as they are supposed to control them, even though they have the capacity to win. And this is something which we have been discussing for over 30 years, 35, 36 years, as I said. It's not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not the third time it has happened. So we need to address this issue. Why is it that we have teams that have the technical capacity to win, but are always making tactical blunders at the most inopportune moments? These are questions that really need to be discussed generally within African football now, because we've had too many incidences of teams losing games that they're supposed to win. And that's not acceptable at all.
Tomorrow's games, Spain, Austria, Portugal, Croatia, Switzerland, Algeria. So Portugal, Croatia, one aging man against a team of aging men. We'll talk about those games and no doubt stadium Wi-Fi connections with Wilson tomorrow. We'll finish on this from Liam. Hey there, long-time listener of the pod and former colleague of Mark Langdon. I've really enjoyed Mark's food diaries whilst over in the US, and while I've always been aware of his aversion to vegetables, the diaries got me thinking about what he ordered when he came to my wife and I's wedding back in 2024. And he has the order confirmation. Yeah,
Wow.
do you know what? It's not quite as, because he had to choose from a preset menu. He couldn't just say...
Is this your classic beef or salmon
yeah.
option?
What would you like for starter? He went smoked salmon. He's got the actual... He went back and found the screenshot of the Mark Langdon food order. Smoked salmon with dill, creme fraiche and brown bread. What would you like for your main course? Char-grilled fillet of beef, dauphinoise potatoes, fine beans, wrapped in pancetta and beef stew. That's the way to get him to eat a bean, isn't it? What would you like for your dessert? Lemon tart with chantilly cream and raspberry sorbet. While I can only presume he tossed the green beans to the side for his main, I was impressed to see he went for the lemon tart with raspberry sorbet over the brownie. So can confirm he does get his fruit in there. somehow. Unfortunately, there was no orange chicken or Honey Nut Cheerios on the buffet. I can also confirm his song of choice for the DJ was Jammin' by Bob Marley. That's going to fill the dance floor. I mean, you play that at the end of the night. Absolute classic. Have you seen Mark Langdon eat a vegetable? Football Weekly at theguardian.com, please. And that'll do for today. Thank you for the unvarnished truth, Osasu. Appreciate it.
As always, guys.
Yeah. Cheers, Barry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Archie.
Thanks, Max.
Football Weekly is produced by Rory Simon and Matt Bentley-Viney. Our executive producers are Joel Grove and Taya Papula. And we'll be back tomorrow.